About what we talk.
Welcome back to The Ether, the show that disrupts the way you think about running your business. Join me, Brandon, and my co-host, Sean Delaney, the creator of What If, on today's episode. Our goal is to provide context around what we talk about so you have the clarity to cut through the noise and the confidence to grow and run a truly harmonious business. Let's jump in and take the next step to achieving business freedom. Yo, 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 welcome back to The Ether. Sean, guess what?
Where's your bucket hat? Yo, yo, yo. All right, what?
You want me to have a bucket hat?
Yeah.
Someone is either listening to this or they're not. How good is that joke? That's terrible.
So terrible. I love it. I went around from loving it to hating it so much. I came all the way right back to loving it. All right.
But you know what? I love a good dad joke, just an awful joke that makes people go, why did he say that? Because that's authentically who I am. All right.
Gosh,
so you're gonna have to deal with it.
I just went somewhere and they were like, oh, sorry, we're having some work done, because they were pointing up at the ceiling, and I said, no, it's okay. It's not the best ceiling I've seen, but it's up there. They appreciate it. Anyway, hi Brandon. Let's talk. What are we talking about?
We're talking about authenticity.
Love it.
And that's how we roll, right? We bring humor and light to situations. At least we try. Some people keep up with us, some people don't. Actually, one more for you. I didn't tell you this. You'll appreciate this. I was in Home Depot the other day, and I was buying, I don't even know what, it really doesn't matter, like floor cleaner or something. And I go to check out, and at Home Depot and Lowe's, they always ask you, do you have a PO number? Now, there should be a policy at both of these stores that after 8 a.m. and if you have kids with you, you are not a contractor. So why are you asking me that question? That's a different conversation for a different day. But this lady, she was miserable. I could tell she was miserable. And I said, I'm gonna spice up her day here. So she goes, do you have a PO? And I was like, no, but I have a little bit of BO. Does that matter? And she just totally didn't understand the joke. I was like, what are you saying? So do you have a PO number?
Yes.
But I was like, you know what? That's authentically who I am. I love to try to make people laugh, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
It's amazing. My response every time when here's the cashier, beep, beep, and they go, how are you? If anyone at any place asks me, how am I? My response is, I am transcendent. And they go, usually it's like, what? And they suddenly, or they'll go, oh, wow. What? There's never been, no one ever, because that is such a power positive statement. It's over the top ridiculous. I am transcendent. It doesn't matter what's happening. I am up here. It pulls people up. Maybe not all the way to where you are, but it pulls them up from where they are, always, every single time. If they speak the language, they go, ooh, right? $10 words matter.
Well, you need to talk to the Home Depot cashier lady, because she needed to go a little bit closer to transcendent than wherever she was.
And someday we will talk about the time I saw a woman at Borders bookstore.
Borders, you're dating yourself.
Right? She had, let's tell the story now. She came up, she comes, I'm checking out. Beep, beep. Bought a lot of books. It was Christmas time. Was buying gifts. She comes up angry. Goes, I need a manager. And the guy's like, what? And she has this the door handle, the handle to the door in her hand. And she goes, this ripped off when I tried to open the door. And the guy's like, what? And she's like, you need to fix this. And I was like, oh my God, that's incredible. She goes, I could have been injured. I go, but you weren't. Now I'm involved, right? I go, but you weren't. And she looks at me, she goes, what? And she goes, what? And we're like, excuse me. And I go, you weren't hurt. I go, maybe you can't be hurt. And she's like, what are you talking about? I go, you just ripped the door handle off an industrially made prefabricated door handle. You ripped it off and you weren't hurt. This might be your origin story. I don't know what's going on. You need to do something about it. She throws it down and walks off. And as she goes off, I go, I hope she realizes it and starts to save the city. And the guy behind the counter is like, beep, beep. Okay, so do you have a rewards card? Like, good. It
Not even
bounced off.
having it.
It's bounced off. It's like, this is the most amazing moment of my life that this is happening. And I'm playing with this woman and showing her life is not like, can we laugh for a second? They're like, oh my God, maybe you're Wonder Woman and you just found out. Right? That is that moment in the movie. She didn't get it. So she had a different experience than I had, but I was being authentic. Are we talking about authenticity?
We are, and we want to give a shout out because the reason we're talking about authenticity is we were on a podcast. I will get the name in just a second, but I remember the host, Marcus Ogden. He was phenomenal. It's a top 1% podcast, and it hasn't been released quite yet as of the day of recording this episode. But
Former
when it is,
NFL star,
in the show notes. Yes, NFL star, played for the Ravens. His jersey was on the wall behind him. It was incredible. I was like, we are talking to an NFL superstar about authenticity, and he wanted to hear our perspective. I thought that was cool. Sounds like you thought that was cool. We'll link it down below. Marcus, shout out to you. You're a rock star. Thank you for having us. But yeah, it brought up this conversation between us. And the first question he asked both of us was, what does authenticity mean to you? And we've gone down rabbit holes and rabbit holes that I'm sure we'll go down right now. But this term authenticity in business, the flip side of that is I think it's widely overused, and people mistake putting on a mask for real authenticity. Yeah. And that's kind of what we have here to unpack today. So Sean, I'm going to look up the name of the podcast so we can properly shout it out. But while I'm doing that, what is authenticity? What did you get out of that conversation with Marcus?
So since then, I've been thinking a lot about this. You asked me, Brandon, think about authenticity. So I have thought about authenticity. So here's what I think. So I think there are 4 elements to authenticity. And this is because I think unless you dial in, unless you distill it down to its essence, like we do with every business discipline in the world, unless you distill it down to its essence, you can get lost and it can get confusing. So I think there are 4 elements to being authentic. The first is because it's what we feel internally, what we value, and then what we believe. And so the first thing is, oh my God, let me back up. When I say to someone, I am transcendent, their reaction falls on left or right of a center line, which is, I believe that the world is a adversarial place, or I believe that the universe is a benevolent provider. So the world is against me and I fight it, or the world is 100% for me. This is the life happens to me, life happens for me. That everyone falls on one side or the other of that equation. And that then changes every other thought, belief, and value that they have. Because their values, what I value, helps me in this equation. Either fighting against or learning from, experiencing of or manufacturing. Okay. So when I say I am transcendent, how they respond when we have any conversation after they take our business diagnostic, whatever, the first things they're saying, whether they're saying it, is what they're saying to me, which is everything. Whether I ask them about the weather, where they live, what's going on, the results, every statement is telling me whether they think that the world is for them or against them. If they're opening a channel for more or pushing against things they hate. Great. Okay. So that's one. After that, so to be authentic then, so I'm either one or the other. To be authentic, I have to first be self-aware. So I have to say, what am I good at? These are the 4 questions we ask. What am I good at? Honestly good at. Not like, oh man, in high school I could throw a football. Like, are you Are you good at slinging a football? That's awesome. Or are you not? Did you used to be not, right? When I think about hockey, who was I on the ice? Honestly, great. Okay. So what am I good at? Even to the micro level, nobody cleans out the little gutter on the bottom of the dishwasher like me. Are you doing this for yourself? And that's a gift, by the way. When you're doing something, you're like, man, somebody asked me the other day, well, you booked me on a podcast. And when I was talking to them, I was besides, what were you going to talk about? They said, well, just, who you are. I said, man, that's great. I'm in the top 3 experts on being me. Like I am up there. Like no one's better at, right? I'm number 1 at being me. No one in the universe is better at being me than me. This is the kind of thing that I say as I'm digging garbage out of the bottom of the thing where the kid, right, cleaning gutters. Man, right now I'm killing it. All right, okay. So self-aware. What am I good at? Where am I wasted? So this is when you'll ask me, you're great at this, Brandon, but for everyone's benefit, like I wouldn't ask you to do certain things where it's going to be a struggle for you, or it's going to take you 2 more hours than it would take someone else. Same way where you're like, well, I could fix this, but that sounds like it's a you thing, not a me thing, right? Because where am I wasted? I can do it. Everyone, because no one wants to think you can't do a thing. Of course you could do it. Brandon, tomorrow I could make you the general manager of the New York Giants. And you go, well, what do I know about it? You'll figure it out because you understand the dynamics and the principles and the things. It's going to take you longer than other people, maybe. You have to learn a whole bunch of stuff. But the fact that you understand the 10 disciplines, you'd probably be a better GM than they have. Oh my God, are they going to take away my Giants tickets? All right, shut up. So, okay. But what am I wasted at? Meaning every hour in, does an hour in get us 12 hours of value, or does an hour in give us 30 minutes of value? Look at that equation and say, where am I wasted? And I can stop doing that. Okay. What do I want, or what do I value first? So how do you know what you value? You know what you value when you feel appreciation for it. I know I value loyalty above almost every other thing because I appreciate it so much when I see it in my life, in a movie, on a commercial. Oh my God, Dad's crying. I'm like, I'm not crying, right? My family knows when we have family movie night, there are certain things in movies where when it happens, Dad has to go to the bathroom, and they're like, oh, there he goes. And I'm like, oh my God, give me a second. And I own it. I know it. I'm a crier, but so I know myself and what I value there. Okay, great. And then what do I want? So the delta between, do I know where I am, and the delta between where I am and what I aspire to, and then drilling down to that. Okay. So that's self-awareness. If you know those things, you're self-aware. Great. Second thing is honesty with myself and others. So, and that requires vulnerability, because if someone says, no, I'm honest. Really? Dad, because you've never said you're shit at that. Like my dad is Irish and he can do it with the best of them. We have a joke where we'll look at something and I'm like, yeah, that's called a stick out because it sticks out. He'll make it up when he doesn't know because he can't ever not know. Okay. So he's not, I love him, but that means he's not vulnerable, which is willing to say, here's what I am. Right. This is when I say to you, and Brandon, let's look at the schedule. We're going to be speaking. We're going to Seattle for 3 days. And at some point I'm going to need a nappy, or I'm going to need
a
this.
nap. Yes, gotta have it.
These things. because, and for me to say those things to you is I have to be vulnerable and accept that you're going to either love me because the universe is additive, or hate me and pull me down because it's adversarial, and I'm going to be less likely to be honest if I think this way. So I got to be here. So I have
I'm
to
gonna
be
make fun of you because I love you, and it's gonna come full circle.
well, but that's that's the Ouroboros, right? The snake is eating its tail. Yes, absolutely. So all right. So third thing, I have to be impervious, just like I did right there, for whatever you're saying. Doesn't matter. I have to be impervious to outside criticism. So when we go to a party in Silicon Valley and a physicist comes up
Named Brad.
right? And a physicist named Brad comes up and starts punching at Humanop and the beautiful thing they've built. It's like, okay, not only doesn't that affect us, but oh my God, in humorous, authentic, grounded state, I'm going to be like, physicist, I haven't heard of a less useful thing than a physicist. Like gravity, every physicist tomorrow could die and gravity still works. What are you doing? And wow, what a fun conversation comes with. Anyway, so impervious to external conversations. This is societal norms, peer pressure, the media, any of this stuff. When you start feeling bad, when you see or hear anything, the second you start feeling bad, that is your true self telling you you're believing something that isn't true. Okay. And then the last is totality. So now we're going to accept all of this. We're going to accept ourselves for our flaws and limitations, strengths, weaknesses. We're going to accept it entirely without excessive criticism, because as you said the other day, Brandon, so wisely, it's the first time for all of us. We're all figuring out life right now as we're doing it. So there's no should have done, should have this, but the past is gone the second we let it go. The past is gone the second we let it go. And so can I, in my totality, be who I am? And so integrity, people say it's important to be integrous. Well, integrity is doing what you're saying, but that doesn't mean you believe it and it's who you are. And so I think that people that harp on integrity are missing the fact that integrity is a subcomponent of true authenticity. That's what I think about authenticity. And so, I love acronyms. So, Brandon, to be authentic, what did we say? You have to be self-aware, honest, impervious to the outside, and totally integrated.
You have to be shit.
You have to be shit, Brandon, to be authentic. And
first of all, I was not prepared for this. I thought we were going to have a conversation about authenticity, and then you, in full authenticity of who you are, puts together a whole model of what authenticity is. I was not seeing the other shit as you were going through it, but I'm glad that's what it is.
Because what's our purpose? To get people to internalize it and change.
So if you're authentic, you're shit.
Now people remember it.
You're gonna
Anybody hearing this is gonna remember that. To be authentic, you have to be shit. Self-aware, honest with yourself and others, impervious to criticism, and totally accepting of everything you are in the world as a human becoming, as a vehicle for whatever purpose really drives you. You got to be shit.
We have a tool to help you get all four of those things.
Yes.
Should we talk about the tool, or should we tease it for a later episode? How about this? We'll say the tool, we'll describe the tool We will announce this at a later episode, but we have partnered with a company. We just mentioned them, Human Op, and their whole mission is to optimize the human being. When you know who you are, how you exist, why you exist, and what drives you, you can make better decisions and you could be more shit because you could be more in line with that's probably not what they would want me to say, but
No,
in this
you're
acronym,
being the shit. You're not
you're being-
more shit. You're being the shit.
being
Be the
the
shit.
shit. Be the shit. Be the shit of your life. Be the best dishwasher, gutter cleaner.
Authentically exactly who you are. And in God, the universe, whatever, will pour that energy through you so you can make an impact. That is the point. Be the shit. Find your strut.
Be the shit. Find your strut. That's the tagline for this episode. So we're gonna put a link to Human Up in the show notes. They have an assessment that will blow your mind. It'll change your life. It changed both of ours, and we have a massive announcement around that coming out in the next couple of months from the recording of this episode.
Look at you!
So,
you teased, Brandon.
a little tease, but yes, we'll link that down below. Go check it out. It's absolutely incredible. But the message is simple: be the shit. Be the shit of your own life. Be authentic. I love it. Couldn't have gone better.
Love you, Lego.
All right. Next week, we're going to talk about back to gamification. Last week, we talked about that. If you haven't heard episode 1, it was fantastic. Shout out to another podcast we were on, or Sean was on recently. Shout out to Marcus Ogden again. And the show name is, imagine this, Get Authentic with Marcus Ogden. How did I not remember that? But that's shame on me. Marcus, we love you. Thank you for the opportunity. It was phenomenal. Next week, gamification specifically in your hiring. This is going to be an interesting episode.